What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise Postgame show powered by BetUS. Your Portland Trail Blazers cannot stop winning basketball games as they beat the Suns 121 to 119 in overtime behind some clutch DeAndre Ayton rebounds and DeAndre Ayton free throws, Eric. That might be the first sentence where I've said free throws and DeAndre Ayton's name in the same sentence all season long. His high on the season was 4 free throw attempts. He shot 8 free throws. He got some clutch offensive rebounds. The Blazers choke in the final seconds, and it was on DA giving up a wide-open Royce O'Neal 3 at the end of regulation. The Suns tied the game, sent it into overtime. Got a quick bucket to start overtime, but the Blazers fight back. Ayton, the leading scorer. Avdija has 24. He was rolling in the first half. Kamar continues to play some really good two-way ball, continues to shoot the three ball well. Scoot Henderson has a good game off the bench, despite only playing 22 minutes. This post-game show is going to be a lot of things. We're going to talk about the Blazers in their continued good play, continued winning ways. We're going to talk about how the Blazers clutched up and won this game, and now have won 8 of their previous 9, moving to 21 and 29 on the season, beating the Suns twice in a row. We're also going to talk about the latest trade rumors as the trade deadline is in less than 72 hours. We're also going to talk about the minutes for guys off the bench. And we're going to tie that into the trade deadline and what the Blazers look like and do moving forward after this phenomenal stretch of basketball. Eric, how is your Monday going, and what'd you think of this game?
Wasn't expecting a DeAndre Ayton masterclass, but he basically single-handedly in overtime won us that game just by outworking the Suns, who went small in that overtime, and DeAndre made him pay. And we talked about this a few games ago. I forget what game it was. It was after the game he pouted throughout the game against the Bucks, and then whoever we played next, DeAndre Ayton took it upon himself to get some opportunities by crashing the glass a little harder. And he's really tough to stop when he does that. And he completely won us this game with just sheer effort there in that overtime period. And we can talk about how there are moments in this game where he was costing us possessions and stuff like that. But in the end, it was him hustling for rebounds and getting us second chance opportunities. Otherwise, we probably let this game slip away there.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I wish he could play the Phoenix Suns every night. He seemed extra motivated the past couple of nights going up against his former team, as he had back-to-back good games. The rebounding, very clutch. Phoenix going small there at the end cost them. The final rebound, offensive rebound, was on Mason Plumlee, but that's a problem with Phoenix with Plumlee in the game. He's not the biggest center, and he's getting up there in age. And Ayton hit some middies this game. Wasn't hitting his hook shots, but scored the ball well enough. Efficiency-wise. Let me pull up the stats here. I don't have the ball.
22 shots, though.
Yeah, 22 shots. 22 shots, you know. It's a good game from DA. It's a good stretch, okay? It's a good stretch from him. Shout out to PDX. PDX Papermaker, member for 32 months, says, DA apology tour starts now. Feels good to win, TBH. Thank you, PDX Papermaker, for being a channel member.
Okay, Carson.
I'm not going to respond what I want to respond to that comment. Good game, DA. Shout out to Brandon Lee, $2 donation, says, am I tripping or is Scoot way better than Ant? I mean, Scoot today I thought was better than Ant, and we're going to talk about the minutes usage, and I'm frustrated about how few minutes Scoot Henderson played in this game when he was cooking in the second half. Kind of quiet in the first half, had a great second half. Shaedon Sharpe, only 19 minutes, Eric. Look at the minutes. Now, it was an OT game, but look at the minutes of the starting lineup on the first night of a back-to-back. Kamar, 45 minutes. Jeremy Grant, 41 minutes. Denny Avdija, 44 minutes. And then DeAndre Ayton and Anthony Simons both played 42 minutes in this game. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Blazers fall back to earth finally tomorrow night after this long, hard-fought game.
Yeah, but to that donation, thanks. Scoot has been playing really well. But, I mean, to say he's way better than Ant is, yes, you are tripping a little bit. Whether he should be playing more than Ant, that is a completely different question. But if you're just saying he's way better than Ant, come on, man. Like, you're just...
I think he was way better than Ant maybe in this game. Ant did have 10 assists. Scoot had 6, but Ant 4 for 16 just did not shoot the ball well.
No.
Scoot scored more in like half the minutes and on almost half the shots, half the field goal attempts. So, Scoot was better in this game than Ant, but Ant plays 42 minutes. Chauncey's going to go down with his vets. We know that. We're going to talk about the trade deadline later after we're done recapping this game. But, we can start in a multitude of different areas. Let's start with DA. Eric, so 9 for 22 from the field. Wasn't the most efficient night, but his energy has been better. Okay? I want to get out of the way the really bad play that caused this game to go into overtime in the first place. Okay? Because DA is the reason the Blazers won this game in overtime. DA is also the reason the Blazers did not win this game in regulation. As the Blazers up 3 in the final seconds, literally less than 5 seconds left to go, DA gets switched on to Royce O'Neal and then completely leaves him to go chase a drive when the Blazers, need I remind you, are up 3 points. So then the ball gets swung to Royce O'Neal. He's wide open because DA just completely left him. Why he's leaving somebody behind the arc when they're up 3 with seconds to go, I don't know. It made no sense to me, but that was one of the worst defensive plays I've seen of the season. But to his credit, he then goes and makes up for it with hustle plays, clutch free throws. He missed his last one, but honestly, maybe it was a good thing that he missed because the Suns did not have timeouts left down 2 to go coast to coast with 3 seconds left. Yeah.
I'd rather it be a tie than a win.
I mean, Jeremy Grant got the offensive rebound. Shout out to him. He had 3 offensive rebounds tonight and 4 assists. So Jeremy did some other things tonight, but yeah, I mean, he made up for it. So props, that's what we say. If you make a mistake, a mental error, an effort error, whatever, if you make a mistake, go make up for it. And that's what DeAndre Ayton did in that overtime period. 20 rebounds, 9 offensively. He was an absolute beast on the offensive glass. And, it just shows you when he's engaged and going and chasing offensive rebounds, he can be a really good offensive rebounder. He just has to want to go grab offensive rebounds. And you touched upon it after that Bucks game, you said it was, or was it that Bucks game? Around that time, he started crashing the glass harder. And look at what's happened. He's having the best stretch of his season. And it's coinciding with the Blazers playing some good basketball.
Yeah. Just I'll get the negative out of the way too. So you know how the Blazers gave up a ton of open threes in the first half?
Yeah.
And outside of the play you were talking about. And it seemed like they were mismatched a lot in this game. Having a smaller guy on KD. I mean, how many times did Anthony have to guard KD? And some of that was switching. Because the Blazers still, against a team like the Suns, auto switch, even though they get through the screen fine. It drives me absolutely crazy. But DeAndre was lollygagging up the court a lot in the first half.
Yeah.
And it led to other people having to tag the big or tag whoever he was guarding. And then he would have to just stand up top and guard a perimeter guy. And then they would pass around the perimeter, and DeAndre would not rotate or whatever, and we'd give up an open 3. Now, it wasn't all on DeAndre, like I was saying, but him just getting down the court made it so our defense was not getting set up properly from the beginning, and that had a lot to do with our seemingly good defense just turning to absolute cheese, giving up wide open shot after open shot. But when it mattered, he came through. So you got to give him credit. And he had the rebounds in this game. Anytime you get 20 boards, you're doing a good job. And like I said, he willed us to victory, just getting those offensive boards in the overtime. And so it's hard to question his effort when you see that at the end of the game. But it still leaves me wondering, where is that like all the time, like why doesn't he play that way all the time? And this will go back to when we talk about trades with him, why we're both fine with giving him up still, and maybe this will help get a little bit more value if they did decide to shop him. But it's like within a game like this where we should be talking about how awesome a 25-20 game was, he still doesn't bring it fully, so it's crazy. But gotta hand it to him in this game. He's the reason we won there in the overtime. He made the plays. He hit the free throws. He did everything we needed him to do in that time. So we've got to give him credit for that as well. And a 2020 game is always a special game.
Yeah. I'm not going to be tricked into thinking anything differently of him just because of a good stretch, right? He has good stretches. He has bad stretches. He's always been inconsistent. The thing is with inconsistency is sometimes you'll get some really good stretches. Normally, when you talk about a player being inconsistent, they have some sort of talent, like skill, and it's just like, all right, they're playing bad even though they're better than this or could be better than this. And that's the way it is with DA, right? This is around the time last year he turned it on. And basically he seems to be having the same exact season as he did last year, where right around this year he starts to turn it on. Now, last year, he then gets sat due to tanking reasons, and we'll see if that happens again this year. The more games the Blazers win, the more I doubt we're going to be seriously tanking like that, Eric. But, there's a couple of plays like fading away on the jump hooks that I didn't really like. Overall, though, I want to see him playing better defense. He got a block tonight. He had a couple good defensive possessions, which is good. And then the rebounding was phenomenal, so you'll take that, right? The Blazers have not been giving up as many offensive rebounds, and there's been a lot less of DeAndre Ayton just standing there in the middle of the paint watching opponent players like rebound around him and just standing there and then throwing his hands up like, what the hell? So I like that there's less of that as well.
I just saw this stat that he had the 5th most points in Trailblazers history in an overtime, with only 9. Like, that seems crazy, but
is that true? That does seem crazy. I feel like Dame probably had 5 instances where he had more than that in an OT period, but
yeah, I don't know.
DeAndre Ayton's your player of the game. I think this is the first player of the game poll he's won all year. Correct me if I'm wrong. 71% of the vote, so it wasn't even particularly close.
I feel like he's won one.
Yeah, not sure. We got to talk about like a team thing here, okay? So, I don't think the Blazers' defense was good in this game. Would you agree with that or not? And then I'll explain why.
The defense wasn't good in this game?
I think the defense was not good in this game, to be honest.
Oh, no, it was terrible.
Yeah. The Blazers kind of lucked out. The Suns shoot 36% from 3. They had so many wide open threes. Against a team that can attack closeouts better, this is probably a win for the opponent because the Blazers were stuck chasing rotations, and like they had a couple times where they rotated pretty well, but they were rotating pretty late in this game, and Phoenix is basically pass the ball around until you can drive, and then if your name's not Booker or KD or Bradley Beal occasionally, kick it out for a 3. And if that 3's not there, swing it. Right? That's kind of the way their offense is. Now, the Blazers gave up a ton of wide open 3s, including some wide open ones down the stretch to their best shooters, to KD, to Devin Booker, right? Booker only goes 3 for 8. 37%, but he's capable of much more than that. We know who Devin Booker is. He set the Suns' all-time scoring leader record tonight for a reason. KD 2 for 9. KD had some good looks from 3. And this was one of those games where like they missed some shots. Like this could have easily been a 23-point like a 23-point make night for the Suns. But I think the biggest problem defensively, Eric, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, the Blazers almost lost themselves the game by just constantly putting a 6'3" guy on Kevin Durant.
Yeah, it's the auto switching.
It's a testament to how hard these players played in this game. DA's rebounding, like some of the plays they made offensively, right? Like Tamani's shooting was great. Grant even made a couple of big plays, like these players made plays on the offensive end tonight and kind of got lucky in Phoenix missing some open shots. But coaching critique, okay? We talk about the good, we talk about the bad, no matter win or loss. The Blazers kept switching a 6'3" guy onto Kevin Durant over and over and over again in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter. And KD, it seemed like every time either scored or got a teammate a completely wide open shot because of it, because they had to double because of the mismatch. And it got to the point where every time down the floor, the Suns wouldn't even run anything. They would run a screen at KD knowing that Anthony Simons or Scoot Henderson would switch onto him. That was like the Blazers' game plan. They weren't even trying to fight through the screen. So basically, Phoenix every time down the floor, basically is just like, yeah, let's get Anthony Simons on KD. Whoever Anthony Simons is guarding, go run at KD, and they're going to switch, and then KD can just isolate Anthony Simons, and he's like 9 inches taller than him, and can just easily shoot over him all day long. And that's what they did repeatedly without the Blazers adjusting. And that's the sort of stuff that makes me believe that Chauncey's not a good coach, even despite this run, because schematically, like, that was just a disaster. They're doing the same thing over and over and over again. You're telegraphing it, and they're destroying it. They are literally just going down the court like, yeah, they're going to switch, so let's get on KD, and then let's just attack that mismatch all game long, all half long. And you just don't even change anything about it. You just willingly go along with it. I thought that was baffling. Now, the Blazers make enough plays and had some good defensive possessions despite those mismatches where they were able to make up for it, but that was like one of the most baffling defensive things I've seen in a while. And Chauncey's done this before, where just switch into mismatches repeatedly, watch the mismatches get abused, and then keep switching into those same mismatches. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and lately the smart teams, when they're having this issue with a smaller guy getting switched onto there are times where you can easily switch back, and good teams will find a way to get their defender back to him really quickly. And I don't understand, because it seems like over half the time the Blazers don't even have to switch, and that always leads me back to, it's got to be the scheme then. That's got to be what they're telling them to do in that situation, because if you're switching for no reason, it's got to be because they're being directed to switch in those situations. And so, yeah, that comes back to me as a coaching thing, where we need to be able to fight through that. And there's always that split second, especially with KD, because he's kind of methodical.
Yeah.
He doesn't, if he's going to like pull up and shoot right away, it doesn't matter who's guarding him. So just quickly switch back. Like, it might take a second, but you're going to get back to him. If like I said, if he's going to shoot over whoever's guarding him. So you might as well just get the guy back onto him real quick. And so I just want to see that happen more often, to where, like, there was a play where I forgot who it was, but Ant got switched onto him, and KD dribbled towards the guy that switched off of him, and he was standing like right next to Ant. He could have easily just gotten back to him, but he didn't, and they both kind of ran into each other, and it caused someone to be wide open for three. And so you've got to find a way to shore that up. And the thing is, the Blazers had been doing a better job of that, like not giving up the open threes, rotating better. The switches were happening still, but they were getting back sometimes. So I don't know what happened in this game in particular, but it just seemed like all the Suns had to do was set a screen and then swing the ball a couple times, and they would get a wide open three. And that wasn't good. if you're trying to look at this team like long term, like is this sustainable? This is the first bad game defensively in a while, in my opinion. So that's pretty good. But
there was some good defensive things out of this game, so
yeah.
it was kind of like a mixed bag. You just gave up a lot of easy shots, and I mean they shot 36% from three, but feels like they probably should have shot better. And I think as a team, on average, I think they probably do shoot a little bit better or right around that. So they got some good looks, man. They got some good looks, and this was the type of game where like one more made three is the difference between a win or a loss, right? So, but I will say this. They're closing out hard, and sometimes they over-pursue, but it seems like teams right now are getting uncomfortable, even if their threes are somewhat open, because of the way the Blazers are like flying at guys. Where even on open shots where maybe the Blazers don't fly at a guy or get a good contest, it's still not perfectly comfortable. And listen, these are NBA shooters, so contests don't really matter much to these guys, but the Blazers over this 9-game stretch, they're flying around. They're flying around defensively. When they get caught in rotations, like they are closing out hard. Sometimes they're closing out well. Sometimes they're getting good contests, or sometimes they're biting on pump fakes and over pursuing. But it's like they're not just sitting there and letting somebody have all day to shoot open threes like you had earlier this season. So, when you have to double KD because you switched Ant on to him, you're going to have to rotate behind that. I think there was multiple instances where they did a good job of like flying out behind that and at least making shooters like rush threes a little bit, even if they had a little bit of space. And like even Ant, I think, was doing a good job flying around. Scoot has been doing a good job flying around. We know Tamani, Avdia will, right? So it's kind of their identity to force teams off the 3-point line, or, if teams are going to shoot threes, try and make them shoot tough threes. Didn't really live up to the tough three part tonight, and the Suns got a lot up, but that's why they've been successful before this game, is they've been able to run teams off the 3-point line. They've been able to limit 3-point percentage of the teams they're facing. And they've been doing that without giving up a bunch of easy shots at the rim. Because if you over-pursue and oversell on the 3-point line, a lot of times you'll give up a lot of easy shots at the rim. The Blazers are doing a good job of helping behind that. It helps when you start Kamar at the shooting guard position and Grant at the 3, Denny at the 4, right? You don't even necessarily have to positionally assign them, right? You're starting 3 forwards with a big. And then when Aiden's out of the game, you do have Klingon in there. So you have all this length and rim protection that can help you out around the rim if you're running guys off the 3-point line. And I think that's becoming the Blazers' defensive identity. We're going to make you uncomfortable shooting threes. Sometimes it doesn't really work out, like tonight, but we're going to make you uncomfortable shooting threes. We're going to force you downhill, and then with our length and athleticism, we're going to bother you at the rim. And that's been the recipe for success defensively for the Blazers.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me put it this way. I'd rather them close out too hard than not hard enough. And that's been something that has been an issue in years past. So I'd much rather them continue to over pursue. I mean, eventually, hopefully they clean that up and it looks a little better. But like you said, it is making other teams uncomfortable a little bit.
Yeah. Who do you want to... I guess we should talk about the foul at the end, just because we're talking about some general things here from this game. So the Blazers switch constantly, right? They have a boneheaded end-of-regulation defensive play by DeAndre Ayton. They go into overtime. DeAndre Ayton's clutching up, and then they have a bad foul on a 3-point shot from Devin Booker from the corner where Avdia is reaching to try and deflect a pass and leans into Booker as he catches the ball because he doesn't end up deflecting the pass. And then because he's leaning into Booker, Booker goes up and gets a 3-shot shooting foul. Now, the Suns being down 3, that's the last thing you want to do is foul a 3-point shooter. Like, just wall up, play good defense. If he hits an insane fadeaway 3 from the corner, fading out of bounds, like, all right, good defense, man. You live with that. You don't want to foul somebody there. You want to make them hit a tough shot over you. So that was a really bad play by Denny. But Book, he shot 14 free throws today. He missed 13 of that, or he made 13 of them. So he missed one. That one was costly. He makes the first 2 free throws, misses the last one. And who gets the board is DeAndre Ayton. Good rebound, gets fouled. That's how we ended up with those final 2 free throws. So Book does not clutch up. Could have sent it to double overtime. Shoot, we might still be playing basketball right now. But, yeah, Book does not clutch up. But that was just a bad defensive play by Denny. He has to be better than that.
Yeah, he does occasionally make a questionable play like that. But that's going to happen when you're an aggressive defender. But you have to know when the time is to be aggressive or not. And there could have been a situation where we were looking to foul if you had an opportunity to foul. But you also have to recognize a pass into the corner to Devin Booker with that much time left. He's probably going up right away. So you cannot even get close enough to foul him in that situation. So, yeah, that could have obviously cost us the game, sent it to another overtime. We saw how many minutes these guys were playing already without factoring in more time after that. So, yeah, so can't do that. But, man, I can't believe Booker missed that free throw. That was crazy.
Yeah, 13 for 13 up until that point. Misses the last one. Brutal for him, especially on a night where he breaks the all-time scoring record for the Suns to miss that final free throw. Pretty brutal. Puts a dampen on that, but congrats to him nonetheless on breaking that record.
Array says Blazers just got KD traded. Do you think that's the case?
Yeah, so there's whispers about Kevin Durant potentially being available and the Suns potentially fielding offers from him. There is some legitimate whispers about the Golden State Warriors potentially being the team that KD ends up on. And I think it's a little bit beyond just the fact that the Warriors are kind of desperate for any superstar, was the report today. Seems like there might be something there. And if you're Phoenix and you can't get Jimmy Butler, what do? You got Yusuf Nurkic's contract you're trying to get rid of, right? What do you do? What do you do if you can't get Jimmy Butler? Because that team is not good enough to contend. It's just not. It's just not. So how do you get the team good enough to contend with KD? Can you if you don't get Jimmy Butler? I don't know. Jimmy Butler is like the perfect gift wrap present, but the same reason they got Bradley Beal is the same reason they can't trade him for Jimmy Butler right now. It's because of that no trade clause. So it's going to be fascinating. This deadline, Eric, already feels like it's going to be the most epic trade deadline, at least since we've started the channel. Maybe ever in NBA history, because you got off to a rocking start with the Luka trade. I can't even believe I'm calling something a Luka trade. Just insane stuff. And you have all this insane stuff said by their GM and like, man, are the owners trying to sabotage the team so they can try and move them to Vegas? And just all sorts of wild stuff right now around that. And of course, it's to the Lakers. Nico Harrison and Rob Pelinka, the two GMs for the Lakers and the Mavs, they were close. They're close. The Mavs didn't even let anybody bid on Luka. They kept it a secret. Even the third team in the trade, the Utah Jazz, didn't know until they were like basically on the phone calling the trade into the league. Just wild stuff already, but it sounds like it has the potential to get much more crazier.
Yeah, I mean, 2 years ago we had the KD to Phoenix trade. That was, 2 nights before the deadline or something? Oh, no, it was the night before, right? Because Josh Hart had gotten traded a few hours earlier. We were talking about that, right?
Yeah.
Was that the night before?
That was the night before.
And then, but like we kind of thought of that as like, oh man, that was kind of a bummer because like the big move had already been made, but now there's still potentially a couple more big moves. Yeah, so definitely be interesting. You know what I keep thinking about, Tori?
What's that?
How many teams would have had the ability to trade for Denny this summer by offering a similar package to what we gave up? I know they probably wanted a pick in that range, but like the Lakers had 17 and a future first they could have traded. Like, is there another team that could have gotten him that would have been really good in that range? It's just something that crossed my mind.
I think it would have made sense on Philly. I think it would have made a ton of sense on Philly. And I think they would maybe be 500-ish because they needed somebody like a Denny to withstand the injuries they had to deal with, and they don't have much depth.
Mm-hmm.
But Jared McCain was really good, so.
Yeah.
But he got hurt.
Yeah. And then someone else said, if only the Suns, sorry, I forgot who said this, but if only the Suns drafted someone like Tamani. Ouch.
Yeah, you want to talk about him a little bit? Because I feel like we haven't been talking about him enough because he's been shooting the three ball really, really well. And it's funny because it seemed like Phoenix didn't want to respect his three ball all game long. Like, they were not closing out hard on him at all. They were leaving a gap, and there was just multiple threes where Tomani's like, all right, I guess I'll shoot it. Goes 5 for 7 from 3, right? So he has a revenge game tonight against, can you even call it his former team?
I don't think so, because he never played a game for them.
Yeah, but I mean, he played in Summer League for him.
Well, Summer League, but not a regular season game.
And they drafted him.
Yeah, I don't think you can call him a four. Because, like, how many... There's a lot of journeymen that play for, like, every Summer League team, you know, like...
Yeah. Yeah. But it was like he was on their team. They drafted him. They took him to
wouldn't call,
Summer
like,
League.
Michael Beasley a former Blazer, because he
Yeah,
played...
but I mean, it's different when, like, you get drafted.
No, I know.
You go through all
I'm
that.
joking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. He's showing them what they're missing. Showed them what they're missing today.
Mm-hmm.
So he started off the season shooting the three ball really well. And then he started to slump. His 3-point percentage cratered all the way down to about 33%, which is right where he was last year. It was like, damn, on the season, he hasn't even improved from 3, you know? And ever since that point, he's been shooting a good three ball. I don't have like a split stat or anything. Like, I don't know what he's shooting his last 5 games. All I know is on the season, he's back up above 35%. After this game, might be like closer to 36%. That's where he needs to be as a three-point shooter, right? Because teams want to get away with not respecting his three-point shot. He was 2 for 4 last game. He was 5 for 7 tonight. Okay. 2 games before that, he played in 75 minutes and was a combined 0 for 3 from 3. So, you know, it was fine. They still won, but he wasn't really keeping teams honest. The game before that, though, against OKC, the one loss in this 9-game stretch, he was 5 for 5 from 3. Mm-hmm. So the last 5 games, he is 12 for 19 from 3, which is really good. Really, really good. Before that, he was really struggling from 3. So he's on a little bit of a hot stretch with a couple games where he didn't really shoot much. But he's also he's been passing the ball well. He's been making some plays, been rebounding the ball well. You know, in the last 5 games, he has games at 9, 10, 11 boards. Had back-to-back 4-assist games against OKC and Milwaukee. The Blazers have been sprinkling him in some short roll action, and he's been attacking the rim strong, getting some dunks out of that, and then making a couple nice passes out of that. And I like that when he gets run off the line, he tries to drive and then knows when to back it out, where it's not just like, oh, yeah, you can completely run him off the line because he just doesn't even try and attack at all. So basically, he's just getting to the point where it's like, yeah, you got to guard this guy. He's such a great defender. Sometimes, even with guys that are decent shooters, right, you want to be able to, like, leave someone to load up on the best offensive players on a team. And in this starting lineup, with Grant, with Simons, with Ayton, with Avdia, Tamani, other teams look at as the 5th guy. When he goes 5 for 7, it makes it a lot harder to guard the Portland Trailblazers because who do you leave, right? Who do you leave?
Well, that's what I always come back to this with Grant is that, like, we can talk about how he's struggled to shoot this year or whatever, but, like, he's always someone who has to be paid attention to on offense. You have to actually guard him. And so with DeAndre, when he gets in his groove and he's scoring a bunch of points and we're looking for him a lot in the middle, you know, Anthony is always going to get attention. And then Denny's been cooking lately since he came back from his injury. So you have to guard him as well. So you're right. Yeah, it's like you have to pick your poison, and that's leaving Tamani open. And he's been killing it lately. And it's exactly what you need to do against teams that load up the defensive pressure on certain guys. You need to have your other guys make them pay for it. And they actually are doing that. And so props for Tamani for hitting those threes. I also like that he made several good passes when we went on that run to get up 14 early in this game. Um, he found DeAndre a bunch of times in the middle. So like when Ant's getting pressured or double teamed or not getting downhill, he was passing off, and then Tamani was making the right read to find DeAndre in the middle. So that's always good to see someone who makes the right plays right away, knows when to shoot them. Sometimes I feel like he hesitates a little too much on his threes. He should just let it fly if he's open. And I think Coach Billups would agree with that because he seems to like yell at him when he doesn't shoot it right away.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean Tamani's playing great, and I mean I think short of getting a Cooper Flag or maybe Ace Bailey or whoever, I think we have what's going to be our 3-4 for, 5 or 6 years at least, right? Like we have our forwards. I feel like, and that's weird. I actually feel more confident that we have our forwards than we have our guards right now, even as well as Scoot and Sharp played at times. Like I feel 100% confident that we have two forwards that we can build upon right now.
Well, I'd put it this way. I think you have your 1 through 5 going forward.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we talked about that last stream, yeah.
Like, you have Scoot, you have Sharp, you have Kamar, you have Denny, you have Klingon. Okay, Klingon's going to be better next year. All right? He's been solid as a rookie. He's going to be better next year. He's going to have rough moments when he's young. That's fine. That's fine. The whole thing about that 5-man core, though, is like, what is the ceiling, and can that 5-man core be good enough? Like, all those players are good enough to start for a good team one day. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
all of them are good enough to start for a really good team. But are any of them good enough to be the number one player on a really good team? That's the biggest question mark, and we talked about that last stream. So that's where it's like, it feels like we kind of have our guards. It feels like we have our forwards. We have our center of the future. But do we have our star? You know what I mean? Like, do we have our star? Or can we play so good collectively that somehow that lineup can make some noise or something? I don't know. Mm-hmm. But that's really the weirdness of this rebuild is like normally you draft your star and then you kind of fill in the gaps around them. Or it's like your star is like your last missing piece to your starting lineup. I feel like we have a starting lineup already out of this rebuild. We just don't know exactly who that star player is going to be. So we'll see who the Blazers draft this year. We'll see where they draft this year because it might not be that good of a pick. We'll look at Tankathon later. But maybe they can
get
if
we make the playoffs, we won't even have a pick in this draft.
True. But, I mean, here's the thing, too. Here's why you got to trade Ant. Here's why you got to trade Grant. Here's why you got to try and trade DA for flexibility. You want to be able to accumulate as many assets as possible because if you have your starting lineup going forward, but you don't know if you have your best player, your star, to lead a contender, you got to be able to trade for that player down the line. You got to have as many assets as possible to trade for that player down the line because you probably won't have a Nico Harrison out there to gift wrap you Luka Doncic, right? Just look at the Spurs, though, with the trade that they made for Fox, right? They basically traded 2 first-round picks. You know, in like 5 seconds. So you want to try and get a first for Anthony. If you can get a first for Grant, you have to do it immediately, right? You're not going to get as good of a first as like the unprotected 2031 first that Sacramento got for Fox, but the 2027 San Antonio first is likely going to be in the 20s. It's not that good of a first. Also, they got Levine, but basically San Antonio just traded Chicago their pick back, and that pick Chicago could have tanked hard enough to make it never convey. So if that's a blueprint, right, you should be able to trade for that star if you can't find it out of this rebuild. Let's say the Blazers are too good to draft high in the draft and get another role player. The question is going to be, who is that star? Maybe Scoot can become that guy. Maybe Sharp can become that guy. If so, great. Then you're not really going to have any problems. But you want to put yourself in a position where if that doesn't happen, you have a fallback plan. All right, we're going to be able to trade for a guy. Or if that happens, like, hopefully you have a couple of stars leading this team instead of just one guy like we had with Dame, where we're constantly failing to put enough around him. So that's where I see the rebuild at this point. That's where it's like, all right, I'm kind of giving up on the tank at this point. It would be super nice to get into the top 3, and this team would be set, so set if they got Cooper Flagg at that point. It's like, all right, we can be done rebuilding now. You know what I mean? Because he's that good of a prospect. But yeah, like outside of that, they're going to have to find a way probably to add a star at some point, so you got to be able to put assets around him because you got some really phenomenal role players, bare minimum, with some upside on top of that, which is really nice. And it's showing up on the floor right now. It's winning basketball games right now when a lot of these guys are still young. And you got a long window ahead of you to be able to put together a good team. You just got to be able to find a way to do it, and that's why you accumulate assets in a rebuild.
Yep, but that's why you also have your cap set up to acquire assets simply by having cap space or trade exceptions or things like that. So the fact that we don't have that opportunity and need those assets from trading actual players right now is the problem if they don't trade any of them.
Yep, and we'll talk about trades a little bit later. Who else from this game did you want to talk about? If we talk about anybody on the bench, we're going to have to get into the minutes, which is going to be a negative conversation. I'm just going to warn anyone about that right now. But is there any starter that you want to talk more about, Eric?
Well, Denny was kind of frustrating with some of the turnovers in the first half, but
he was scoring the ball, though.
Scoring the ball, he ends up with 24 points, has 8 boards, 5 assists. So he can't really. I mean, he's just aggressive. In some games, he's going to have a lot of turnovers. We'll talk about that when we talk about like team stuff with the turnovers. But yeah, I thought Denny had another awesome game. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about this in a minute, but the 44 minutes is crazy. But even in overtime, that's crazy because that means 39 in regulation. You know, like, come on, Tamani played 40 minutes in regulation.
See, remember earlier in the season when, like, is Chauncey trying to tank? Is that why they look so bad under him? Maybe it's not his fault. Maybe he's just trying to tank because they want to tank. No, they're not trying to tank. They're never trying to tank earlier this. They have not tried to tank this season.
How do you only play 8 guys and still only give your bench guys that many minutes?
Yeah.
That's crazy. But Denny had a good game outside of the turnovers and that foul at the end that you talked about. 8 of 12 from the field. He's shooting the 3 ball well. He's hitting his free throws lately, which is good. He's still getting to the line a decent amount. Yeah, so really good game from him.
Yeah, it's kind of getting to the point where I just expect him to have 20 every night and do it efficiently. And I'm surprised if he doesn't. That's really good. That's really good. Jeremy Grant, what were your thoughts on him?
Still feel like he forces some shots sometimes. Him and Ant both forced some shots in this game. Yeah. I really like Grant as a person, but he just basketball-wise does not fit on this team right now. And I don't know if it's obvious to you, Tori, or you in chat, but it just seems like he's like just not the right style of player for this team, right? It just like, I don't know. It's like everyone else is very intense, very, like in your face kind of, and Grant is like just kind of out there playing, I don't know. Like I said, it still has some usefulness. I still think he draws a lot of attention and all that. His defense has been slightly better since he's gotten off of the guard the other team's best player position now that Tamani and Denny have that role. But it's like, I don't know. It's like the difference to me between Anthony and Grant is Grant never really feels like he's going to carry you by ISOing. It's like he just does it because that's the type of player he is, right? He's just like playing his game in the minute of that. Whereas Anthony, I mean, we've seen him like take over games at times or score. And so like, you need players who can get you a bucket. So they're both useful. It just, I don't know if it just feels like, I mean, we probably don't need either of them moving forward, but it feels, I don't know, it's so obvious that it's nothing to do with like being a bad locker room person or anything like that. For all accounts, he's great, but like I just feel like I would be so much happier with the direction of this team if we cleared up that starting spot for someone else and just could focus on Tamani and Denny as our forwards.
Yeah,
moving forward.
He's in the way. He was in the way of Denny earlier this season. Denny was like playing like our best player and still coming off the bench for some reason, right? I thought it was kind of silly to bench Denny, like he was going to figure it out, ends up being fine because he's back in the starting lineup now, even though Grant's back. But it was like at the time, that kind of pissed me off, man. Like, you got a dude, you trade 2 picks for him. He's clearly good and just trying to adjust to a new situation, so that's why he's struggling. Why are you benching him for Jeremy? Like, just didn't make sense to me. So now that's all worked out. Okay, great, but who does Jeremy come in for with 3 minutes left in the game? Scoot Henderson. Who was better today between Grant and Scoot? Scoot Henderson. Scoot Henderson, 15 points, 6 assists, 4 for 9 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, 5 for 5 from the free throw line. Efficient night. I think he had 2 turnovers, right? So like 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. Kind of took over this game slightly in the second half, making some really good plays. Nice lob to Ayton. Hit dude, that second 3 he hit, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a Dame 3, man. Like, that's not a Scoot 3, but maybe it will be. Maybe it's starting to become a Scoot 3 because he's starting to hit shots off the dribble going left, like contested pull-up threes. He's shooting insane on pull-up threes. Scoot's playing well. And in this game, he kind of struggled in the first half, had a few bad plays, and it's like, oh, man, maybe this is a rough Scoot game. And in the game, it's like he still had a completely fine game where it's like, man, if he played 33 minutes, he's scoring 23 points with 9 assists efficiently? You know what I mean? And it's starting to get to the point where it's like, man, if Scoot was playing 33 to 35 minutes a game, I kind of feel like he'd be averaging 20 and 8 on decent efficiency. In year 2, wouldn't that be like really, really encouraging for maybe our future star? But he can't get those minutes because he's blocked by guys that should not be on the team. Scoot only plays 22 minutes today despite having 15 and 6 on efficient shooting, despite having a really good second half, because you got to play Jeremy Grant 40-plus minutes. How many minutes did he play again today?
Who?
Jeremy? You got the box score up?
I don't have it. 41, I think.
You got to play Jeremy 41 minutes. That's why you only played Scoot 22. The one game Grant missed, Scoot started. But Grant comes back, Scoot's back off the bench. So it's funny because Scoot's a point guard and Grant's like a 3-4, but Grant effectively is in Scoot's way. That's why you have to trade him for anything at this deadline.
You know what's crazy too, Tori?
What's that?
We play tomorrow night. What are we doing?
Winning a basketball game, I guess, but it's like, yeah, we'll see how much we play Grant tomorrow night. But it's like, if we're really desperately trying to trade Grant, why are we playing him 40-plus minutes a couple of games before the deadline? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. It's weird.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm just gonna chalk off today and tomorrow. Whatever happens. But come our game Thursday night, it'll be after the deadline. If we're still doing this crap, I don't care if we're winning or not. I am going to be very negative on post-game shows. Like, I cannot handle this kind of rotation post-trade deadline if we don't make a move.
Yeah. I think a lot of fans feel the same way. There's always going to be those stragglers. They're like, we can keep Jeremy. Jeremy's a good guy, and we like having him here, and he likes being here, and he's a veteran, and every team needs a good veteran. Every team needs to pay a veteran $30 million in a year and another veteran $35 million in a year. Those are the veterans we like. You know, it's just he's in the way. He's paid a lot. You got to move him. You have to move him. It's getting to the point where it's like, if you don't move him at this deadline, it's a complete failure of a deadline. Cronin gets a failing grade from me if Jeremy Grant's still on this team post-deadline. Now, I guess you could sit him the rest of the year. They're not going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, if they do that, fine. Then I'll be okay, I guess, with them not moving him. But like you said, they're not going to do that. They're going to play him these 41 minutes a game, and that's going to take away from stuff.
And it's a good thing that this team is winning and playing good basketball without having to rely on somebody like Jeremy Grant, without having to over-rely upon Anthony Simons to have 30-point games. Because Anthony Simons couldn't make a shot tonight. He was 4 for 16. They still won. And it had some nice passes. Scoot can pass as well. You know what I mean? You could go find a backup point guard behind Scoot then. That's how it should be. Now, if you didn't have Simon, Scoot would be starting. But it's we're still not even... Dude, we played Sharp 19 minutes in this game. It wasn't even like Sharp was particularly bad. We only played him 19 minutes, Eric. That is a travesty. You're still in a rebuild. You're still 21 and 29. You still have these very talented young players. It's it's a problem. No matter if they win, if they're a playoff team, sure. But honestly, even if we were 8 games above 500, I'd be saying you should probably play Sharp more because he could really help you in a playoff series this year because he's a good player and he's still going to develop and get better over the course of the year, so you probably still want to play him more. Even if we were a playoff team, I'd be saying you play him more. But we're a young rebuilding team. Should we play him more, man? It's a problem. So basically, the Blazers have approximately, I'll do math, 61 hours, I believe, until the trade deadline, Eric. Chat, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. 61 hours until the trade deadline. 61 hours to pick a direction. That's what they have.
$500,000 for every dollar Jeremy's paid.
Yeah. And listen, they can pick the rebuilding direction and still win basketball games. Everybody thinks, if they pick rebuild, that means they suck. No. Your young players are winning you games. Pick the youth. Go that direction. Your youth is having a huge contribution. I'm already resigned that DeAndre Ayton is going to be on this team the rest of the season. I don't think he's going to be traded. I don't think you can trade him. All right? So, that's not boiling into my evaluation of Cronin at this deadline.
Please, Lakers.
Yeah. If they do get off him for a decent package, I'm happy with it. Decent package might just be an expiring, get off his contract. But, people are going to think that's crazy because look how well he's playing these last 4 games. As if we didn't hear that last year and then deal with all the crap to start this season. So you gotta move Grant. You gotta move Grant. You gotta move Rob Will because Rob Will's not even playing. Even if you only get 2 seconds at this point, Eric, for Rob Will, why not? You're not playing him and you're gonna keep Ayton. So you gotta trade one of the centers. You gotta trade Grant. It's that simple.
Yeah. For the people who say we're winning, do you think Jeremy is a big reason why we've won 8 out of 9?
Yeah. We are winning and B-wording. Bro, you're B-wording. You're complaining. What always cracks me up is we're playing good basketball. That means everything has to be great no matter what.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, again. I am so sick of there just wasn't anything to trade him for. Then get a GM who can find value. Because, I don't understand, man. That's always the excuse. Oh, we've got no value. Well, everything I'm hearing right now or we're seeing on social media and people tweeting is that Robert Williams is a hot commodity. We've seen half the league be interested in him this year.
Yeah.
Outside of injuries, every team would want a guy like Robert Williams, could use a guy like him on their team. Like, you have to be able to use that to extract value from one team. That's all you need to do is extract value from one freaking team. And so, like, if you can't trade those guys, it's a massive failure. And yeah, we've already been talking about this all season. This isn't has we're not being reactionary to a winning streak. Like, we have to do certain things by the deadline. We have had to do that all season since we didn't move any of these guys in the off season. Like, we all know.
And also, people take you got to move Grant as a negative. You got to move Grant because you got Scoot. He's playing great basketball.
We have a team that we feel confident that can win without him.
Yeah,
you know, like,
you got really good youth. That's why you got to move some of these guys so you can fully go in with this really solid core that is starting to break out right now, and that is the main responsibility for you going on this winning streak. Look at how well they're playing lately. That's why you fully commit to them. That's not a negative. That's not complaining. You should absolutely believe in this young core. That's a positive to me. It's a failure if they don't commit to this really good youthful core that is playing really good basketball right now. It's a shame if they don't. This is what you rebuild for, to get young pieces like this. Now, they're still missing that like blue chip prospect, but everything else, it seems like they got right now. Scoot, I feel better than him, and I was preaching patience last year. Sharp, man, he's had some really good moments this year, and now he's playing 19 minutes off the bench. He had a stretch where he was like the Blazers' leading scorer. Now he's playing 19 minutes off the bench. You know what I mean? So it's just like, all right, you got to commit to these young guys. They're good. They're worth committing to. That is not a negative.
Bumpy says it's not a massive failure if you're trading Grant and Williams for trash. There is... Okay, it depends on what your definition of trash is. Because if we traded both those guys for expiring contracts, maybe even work it to where we get a trade exception for trading one of the two, that opens up the door to possibly extract value from that down the road. So it's not just what we get in the trade being the most important thing. But yeah, I mean, I don't understand. Like, no one's saying we should trade him for trash because those guys, like I said, they're good enough players to where you should be able to not be like, oh, we have to like take this horrible package back for them. Like, how could you not get something for Robert Williams right now? It's like, that makes no sense.
And also, if you can only get trash for Jeremy Grant, then it was probably a massive mistake to pay him that huge contract. So either you're able to flip him and it's worth paying him that contract because then you could trade him, or if you can't, then that contract becomes an anchor and it was a mistake. Those are the two paths with Jeremy Grant. So, like, I think it would be better to just play Scoot 35 minutes a game and give like all Grant's minutes to Scoot and Sharp right now, and play a little bit smaller but still be scrappy, still play fast. They can play with Avdia at the 4, Kamar at the 3, Scoot, Sharp, and as their guards right now. They can do that. Okay? A lot of those lineups have had a lot of success over this 9-game stretch. So I think that would be better because I think Scoot's played better basketball than Jeremy Grant this year. I think Sharp's played better basketball than Jeremy Grant this year. I also think it's better for the long-term outlook of this franchise to play those guys 30 to 35 minutes a game instead of 19 and 22 minutes like they played tonight. So, yeah.
Or even worse, so people are saying that the sit Grant like they always do.
But how are you going to get value this offseason then? You're just in the same position, right?
Yeah, I don't think his value is going to increase from this point on. Like, I think it's a depreciating asset at this point. And that we can argue how much value he has, but I don't feel like there's going to be like, oh, wow, he's back to shooting the 3 ball well. That means he's worth 2 firsts now or something. You know, like I don't think we're going to get that value. If I still think we could get some value for him. I just don't think it's going to be any more than what we can currently get.
Yeah. So we'll wait and see what we get, but it's not even really about the package for me. It's just about getting it over with. Because whatever he's worth is whatever he's worth. Whatever Cronin can sell him for is whatever Cronin can sell him for. It's not really about that. You just got to do it.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, I'm more worried about them playing Jeremy 36 minutes a game after the trade deadline than I am him sitting out. I'm okay if they sit him out again, but I have a feeling with this win streak, we're not going to do that. We're going to keep starting him, and he's going to play 30-plus minutes a game, and I think that it all comes back to me. Every time Cronin has a press conference and talks about a direction, it seems like the next trade window, the next trade deadline, the next free agency period, the next draft, he does the opposite, or it's not a continuation of the plan he just a few months ago said was his plan moving forward. And he literally said we were going to have to do some tough things with the future in mind, take a step backwards to take a couple steps forward, and it might hurt a little bit short term, but we need to be patient and acquire assets and more talent and stuff like that. So to me, if you just keep everyone and try to win now, like that, I once again have to question, do we have a direction long term, or are we just kind of winging it depending on what happens in the short term? And I don't think that doing that, it might be fun. Of course, it's fun to win 8 out of 9 games or however long this goes. But at what point does this become detrimental by winning with our guys? And let's lead this into the minutes conversation.
We've already been having that conversation.
Yeah,
right?
with Sharp and Scoot playing this low of minutes off the bench, at what point does that become detrimental to their development, us playing this way and winning? And I think that is the most critical part of this season and probably next season is those guys' development. So, like, I don't understand why we would risk that for a few wins in the short term. We're still really going to find it really tough sledding to even make the playoffs if that's our goal. So, like, what are we even doing right now?
Yeah, to put it simply for anybody confused, because it seems like we got a couple people that are confused in the live chat, okay? Their young talent looks really good right now. They're winning games, and the main reason is their young talent as much as their vets. That is a good thing, okay? And they should commit to that young talent and should not be playing Sharp and Scoot 19 to 22 minutes off the bench when they're having better seasons than some guys that will play 40 minutes in this type of game. Commit to your talented young core. If you commit to them and they keep winning games, I'll be as happy as anyone. I am completely fine with them winning as many games as possible if their young talent is what's winning them games. And that's why it's like, all right, the start of the streak is like, man, I kind of fully embraced the tank before this 9-game stretch. So the first couple games, it's like, damn, man, we're not playing Scoot and Sharp much, and we're winning, messing up the tank, whatever. We're still not playing Scoot or Sharp enough, but like these young guys are really contributing to wins and playing good basketball. Go all in on that. Go all in on that. So I just don't really understand why people have a problem with that opinion. I don't really get why that's a hot take, because it's not even a negative thing. People that inherently tank everything we say as negativity will take that negative, but I think it's a testament to our young core that they're winning games, playing well, and that we should fully commit to them. You know, if Scoot was playing terrible, then like, all right, he played 22 minutes off the bench and had another terrible game. Nobody's complaining that much about him playing 22 minutes off the bench. We're complaining even more about him playing 22 minutes because of how well he's playing.
Yeah.
So that's just where I'll leave that conversation.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think
Tory, they are not winning because of Sharp and Scoot. You can't say that. It's just not true. What are you talking about? Scoot has been phenomenal over this 9-game stretch. Sharp has had some big games as well, and Sharp's not making them worse when he plays. It's hard to have a huge contribution to a win when you're not playing a ton of minutes, number one. But it's like, you're the same guy that commented that is the same guy that said Scoot was awful tonight despite him having an efficient 15-point in 22-minute game with 6 assists and 2 turnovers. What? It doesn't even make sense. Scoot has been playing really well and has contributed to a lot of these wins. There was a game he was like a plus 31 in 24 minutes in the stretch. So I just don't really understand that. That is negativity, bro. That is negativity.
And okay, there's obviously Scoot haters and people who don't really care about him that much, and maybe some of that's from Dame or whatever, the hype that he had. But I think we can universally agree that pretty much everyone loves Sharp outside of Torrey, right? Just kidding, Torrey. That was a joke. Pretty much everyone loves Sharp, right?
Yeah.
And
we'll take donos in a second, by the way. Go on.
And almost everyone will universally agree that Sharp has a pretty high ceiling potential-wise, right? So, like, how is this helping him develop? Like, why would we not? Like, why would anyone rather watch Jeremy Grant go 5 for 13 in this game than watch Shaedon Sharp play 30 minutes? Like, is there actually people out there that think we'd be worse off for that?
I don't know. We got some weird stuff in chat right now. Shout out to Engine Pen with a $5 donation. The GG Hippopotamus sticker makes its comeback, Eric. Makes its comeback. We love that. Sorry, we've been letting these donos sit for a while. We're not used to getting as many donos as we used to get, but you guys are killing it tonight, so we greatly appreciate that support. It means the world. Butthead Blazer Stan with a $2 donation says, why not target Booker when he had 5 fouls halfway through the fourth? Yeah, that's a good point. You should absolutely try and target him and foul him out if you're trying to win a game. That I feel like is a coaching missight. Or whatever you want to call it. That's probably not the right word. Is that a word? Missight? I don't know. You should target him. No, their best player has 5 fouls, or one of their 2 stars has 5 fouls halfway through the fourth. Go at him every possession and try and foul him out.
Run Denny right into him.
Yeah, Denny, when he just beelines for guys and runs right into him, he gets a foul called on him. That's how Booker picked up his 5th foul in the first place, was Denny doing that. So should have just been, Denny, you're a heat-seeking missile. Lock your sights on Devin Booker. He has 5 fouls. Every time you get the ball, just sprint into him and foul him out. Because apparently it works for Denny. I don't know how. He gets a star whistle sometimes, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Suns Valley Podcast member for 27 months. Says, congrats on both wins. Well earned. Thank you, Suns Valley Podcast. It was fun joining their live streams for the game. And, yeah, tough losses, but it's a good Blazer team right now, man. And hopefully, for your sake, you have a fun trade deadline like you've had in years past. And hopefully the Suns, maybe this is a wake-up call they needed. Nah, just kidding. They were going to be aggressive trying to make their team better anyway, so they didn't really need this, but we'll see what they can do. Shout out to Smog, member for 49 months. Says, I love Tamani Kamar. I like the stream, bozos. Yeah, I like the stream. Got 116 likes. Had 500 people in here all stream, which is awesome, which is great. But let's get that like count up. Easiest way to support the channel. Thank you, Smog. Shout out to Horror Director, $10 donation. Says, sorry, you guys knew I would do this. Jeremy Grant doesn't care about playing basketball in Portland. He loves being Jeremy Grant in Portland. You know what I mean? I honestly don't know what you mean, and I don't view Jeremy Grant that way. But thank you for the donation. I don't view Jeremy Grant negatively like that. I think his effort maybe isn't great, but I think it's adequate enough. And I think he belongs on a team trying to win. And I would love to see him in a playoff series this year. I think that's where he belongs.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that either. I don't like to speculate on people. Like, I mean, we've talked about how I don't think he worked on his game much over the summer, if at all.
Yeah.
And I mean, he signed. It's kind of the part of the problem with guaranteed contracts.
Hmm.
It seems like on Instagram or whatever, he does enjoy the Portland life or whatever. He seems like a Portland guy, but I mean that doesn't affect anything. I'd rather you like getting rebounds or whatever,
Yeah.
like so. But yeah, yeah. I just gotta hope that one team sees him as just like a player that's being misused here in Portland.
Yeah. I mean, he's just in the wrong. He's in a weird situation. He's in the
Hmm.
wrong situation,
Yeah.
and we knew that this offseason. So you just gotta move on from. And it's not even because he necessarily like played bad tonight. It's just where the Blazers are at, the position they're in
And,
right now.
and we have a lot more people watching than do when we're losing. So I just want to say for the record, I will always have a special place in my heart for Jeremy Grant for being the one good player who wanted to come here and play with Dame. So it has nothing to do with like him as a person or anything like that. I just feel like this particular roster that's being built, it doesn't make sense to have Jeremy Grant on it. Now, do we need some veterans? Maybe yes, but I don't believe those should be guys like Jeremy who play 30 some minutes per game. You can have the Earl Watson type vets like that Dame had that don't need to necessarily play that many minutes.
Yeah, Dame wouldn't have started his rookie year if they went about that little mini rebuild the way we're going about this rebuild. Dame would have been playing 18 minutes off the bench. You know? In year two, he might not have been starting. We might not have had the buzzer beater against Houston, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
But no, he starts day one, takes off from day one. Now he was older as a rookie, so different situations. It's just like, yeah, look at what worked for Dame. He had these vets that were behind him, but mentored him, taught him stuff, and it worked out great. Worked out great. Shout out to Chapel Perilous with a $5 donation. Says, you should play Aiden's press conference he did after the game. This guy's unreal. Maybe we will. Thank you for the donation. I think we will if it's up just for the donation, and we'll listen to it because I can only imagine after this game clutching up the way he did against his old team, what DA sound bites we could get. Maybe we can get another soundboard soundbite for our Discord because we got a DA soundbite in there that's pretty funny. That's why you got to join our Discord.
Are they talking about his interview after the game with Brooke or like an actual locker room?
He said Aiton's press conference, so
Hmm.
I think it's the locker room or whatever, or like podium press conference. Shout out to Horror Director, $10 donation, says, that's all I'm saying. Our young core cares more than our old core. Our old core just wants to smoke weed in Portland, do food reviews. Our young guys are hungry AF. Yeah, thank you for the donations, man. Once again, like I said, you're entitled to your opinion. I don't view things the same way with our old core. I don't like Ayton. I don't have anything like against Ant and Grant. I just think they would probably be better on other teams and it'd be mutually beneficial. So I'll just.
We don't have an old core.
Yeah.
Jeremy's our oldest player at 30 years old.
I know,
Everyone else
yeah.
is
like
26
Aiden's like 26
or
and he's ancient.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just,
But if you're saying the young core doesn't partake in that, I'd like you to go back and watch Scoot's media day. And also, before the first Phoenix game, he had an interview with Brooke before the game. And yeah, I would just like to say go watch that if you don't think the young guys do that stuff.
Yeah, man. It's legal in the NBA now, so a lot of guys probably do that stuff. All right, shout out to, let's see here. My screen glitched out for a second. Horror Director with a $20 donation. He says, last thing I'll say, I just want Portland players to fight hard, win basketball games. I don't care how much you like Portland, win games, that's all. Glad you like our donuts, but $30 million later, I don't care. He's going off, but he's donating. We read all donations. Thank you, Horror Director. Appreciate your support of the channel. I want guys to like Portland. I want guys to like being here because if they don't like being here, that's when they leave. I want Scoot to like Portland. I want Sharp to like Portland. If those guys become stars, I want them to stay. I don't want them to pull a De'Aaron Fox. So, Hopefully we put together a better team around them than De'Aaron Fox had, right? Like that would be heartbreaking, man. Like I preach patience on Scoot while everybody's calling him a bust, and he breaks out, becomes a star, and then wants to go somewhere else. That'd be brutal. I don't even want to speak that into existence. So thank you for the donation. Shout out to Bryce McFadden, $10 donation, says, thanks for the streams. Appreciate it, Bryce. Thank you for watching the streams. We appreciate the donation. Alrighty.
Well, let me read a couple comments real quick.
All right.
So Ghost DJ says, do you not like winning? Winning helps the young guys just as much as playing time. Chauncey is making the young guys earn it, which is better for their discipline than the Wizards giving 30 minutes per game. Okay. Well, one, we can debate whether winning is good for this franchise long-term or not right now. It might actually be worse. But even if you just disregard that and just say, is winning good for development? My point in all of this, the entire time, last year, we hear, do you want to be the Detroit Pistons if we trade Jeremy Grant? Yeah, sure. What does it matter? We won 21 games last year. Does it matter, if we had Jeremy or not? Does that matter that we won 21 games? He missed a bunch of these games that we're winning out of this 8 out of 9. And he hasn't done a ton in the games he has played since he came back. Do I think we would still be winning if we didn't have him on the roster? Maybe not every game, but I still feel like our core is good enough. I think it's mostly Denny and Tamani's, playing well. That's lifted this team to another level. With Scoot and Sharp, continuing their development. Scoot playing much more consistent and under control lately. So I've talked about this recently. I like our young core five, and I feel like there's not much of a drop off in terms of winning or losing games. People forget before this winning streak, we looked absolutely terrible without Denny, and we had all these other guys that we're now can't trade because we want to win. No, there's other guys that would still be on the team that are more important to winning and still would have played this same style, and we'd still have the same success, I believe, because those guys are the core guys, and it helps us build that for the future instead of playing these guys or winning because of guys who aren't going to be here in a year or two. So what does it matter? So I would much rather win or lose based on the young core succeeding or not succeeding this year. And I kind of agree with you. They shouldn't just be given a blank 36 minutes a game. But right now, I feel like they have earned that. So Scoot has earned that right to play 30 minutes a game. I don't think he's doing anything that makes me say, oh yeah, 20 minutes a game is justified right now. No, he should be playing 30 minutes a game until he proves that he can't handle it, because right now he has been able to handle it. So, the perfect example for me is Sharp's rookie year, where he had a good role. He played way better than anyone would have imagined. Off the bat, people thought it was going to take some time for him to even get in the rotation, and he played well shooting the three ball, especially. He had some nice cuts that led to dunks, and he was our best bench player for a while his rookie year. Now part of that's because our bench sucked, but that was a key part of that was having him off the bench. But what happened when we gave him more responsibility at the end of that year and let him run the show a little bit and do some things that were kind of outside of what we had seen from him? He showed so much more of what he could be.
Yeah.
And so my question is, because we're not doing that with our young guys right now to some extent, are we possibly missing out on some of that by not letting them have more responsibility. So my thing is I would give people as much responsibility as they can handle until they prove they can't handle it. And if they can't handle it, oh, well, we're not winning a championship anyway, so what does it matter? At least we tried.
Yeah. I mean, this season was always about player development more than it was about wins and losses.
Mm-hmm.
It's still true. It's still true. Like, I'm just not going to sit here and be a complete prisoner of the moment where, you know, oh, we're the best team ever. You know, like, we're a top 10 team now. We won 8 out of 9 games. We had a good 9-game stretch for once. Now we're great. Like, we're playing well. We're playing well. The young players are playing well. You still can't lose sight of the bigger picture. And how they're playing recently does matter in the bigger picture. I don't want to make it sound like it doesn't. Just commit to the young guys. Commit to the young guys. Like, I felt that way before this stretch. I still feel the same exact way after this stretch. This stretch, if anything, has solidified that even more for me. Like, look how good these young dudes are playing, and Sharp needs to play more than 19 minutes. Scoot, when he has an efficient 15 points, 6 assist night, should be playing more than 22 minutes. But yeah, they're winning games. So to some people, nothing else matters. All right, listen, I'm maybe a little jealous of you that it's like, oh, they win games, nothing else matters. We're good, we're happy. Okay, cool. More power to you. More power to you. Listen, I would love for Blazer fans to be happy. And listen, I like winning games too. The channel does much better when we win games. So I'm not rooting for them to lose games or be worse for the hell of it. I just want to talk about winning playoff series one day. And that's what it matters for me. For me. I want to see them playing this type of basketball, winning this type of game in the postseason. In the postseason.
Well, Trey, I mean, for years, it was always Blazers are stuck in mediocrity. You can't just make the playoffs every year and it leads to nowhere, right? Like, what do you think making the play-in or not barely making the play-in? Where do you think that isn't that way worse? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you rather make the playoffs every year than barely make the play-in or be the Sacramento Kings? Or you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand. Like, you have to commit to a path. And I think we kind of committed to it more so than I thought we would, which is good. But it needs that last little step to fully commit to it.
Yep.
And if we're bad because of it, so be it. It might be better that we're bad. And I'm not saying we should just lose games on purpose. I actually think we'd be a better team if we make these trades. It might actually continue this win streak with or without Jeremy Grant. I don't think that's wrong to say.
Yeah, no. I mean, we'll see. I mean, the trade deadline's and we have one more post-game show before that. So we'll see if they win tomorrow. But the bar's not even high. You got to trade one of the centers. You got to trade Grant. If you do that, you'll probably get a passing grade from me as long as they get like 3 second-round picks. Like, trade both of those guys, get at least 3 second-round picks that are like okay second-round picks, 3 average second-round picks. I'll give you a passing grade, Joe. I'll give you a passing grade.
That's so sad.
The bar has been lowered that much. In a passing grade, by the way, a D is a passing grade. Okay? But, like, I won't be pissed off or anything like that if they do that. Because, okay, you're committing to a direction. Yes, you probably could have gotten back more. Yes, you probably made a mistake not trading Jeremy Grant earlier. But at least you finally committed and took that last little step that Eric just talked about. So that's how I feel. Let's listen to this DA interview. It's 3 minutes, 48 seconds because apparently it's interesting.
Let's say one last thing about this.
Go ahead. Yeah, I feel like we've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah. Go CJ says, unfortunately, the window is closed for us for the next decade. Lakers and Spurs too good. I think I'm okay being mediocre until 2035. Then what do you care? Why did you care so much about us keeping players to win games and it being good for development then? What do you care? Wouldn't the best thing... Okay, let's say you're right. Lakers and Spurs are going to dominate the next decade. Wouldn't the only chance we have to suck as bad as possible and get someone like Cooper Flagg or AJ Dybonsa the next 2 years and just hope he's the next superstar and maybe we can rise to those levels. That's literally the only chance we have then, if that's the case. So you're confusing things. We should not want to win a single game then, if that's the case. If you truly believe that, we should be trying to be as bad as possible for the next 2 years. Get Cooper Flag and AJ Dybonsa, and you know what? We could be better than those teams with those two. So that's our only chance we have then. So you're actually making the point that we should lose every game and be as bad as possible.
Yep. Which I'm not all in on that tank at this point. So, but if you think it's hopeless, you got to have the next Luka then, or the next Wemby. How do you get them? You lose freaking as much as possible. You're the Washington Wizards. That's the only way then. So I don't like that argument either, Eric. Let's listen to this interview.
All right.
I'm looking forward to this. All right.
Do you thoroughly enjoy playing that well against your former team, or is it just another game?
Nah, it's the type of streak we've been on. We've been a complete different team.
I mean, you personally playing against
I don't really care about me. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to beat teams, man. I'll say honestly, we just been on that roll, that pace, not really worried about who in front of us, playing for each other out there, playing defense and communicating, and you can feel it. You know what I'm saying? Trying to change the tradition around here to a winning culture, and that's what we're just scratching the little surface right now with these dubs we've been getting at home.
Chauncey said he felt that you dominated the game. Like you said, you only missed one shot. I mean, just what were you kind of seeing and feeling?
Oh, this is the wrong interview. This is the wrong interview. Okay, where's the right interview? My apologies. That's the wrong interview. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Here's the right interview. So that was last Phoenix Suns game. I got confused because it said Blazers versus Suns, but that was funny too. So let's see if his tone's any different tonight. This is the real one. Here we go.
DeAndre, your thoughts on the win? Obviously, a couple huge rebounds, a couple huge free throws for you in overtime to help seal the win. Can you talk about your performance, particularly in overtime tonight, to get the W?
My performance or the team performance?
I'd like to hear your opinion on both.
Well, I believe the team, like I said, we've been on this streak of playing well, playing together, and that's where you've seen it. I was really happy today how we handled ourselves in the fourth quarter down the stretch. We needed that. I believe there's going to be more games like that. If we keep playing this way, there's going to be more games like that where teams are going to try to take us a little bit more serious and have a little bit more respect for us. And, guys try to get to their spots. It felt like a playoff game tonight, the way how they slowed it down and they was picking on some of our guys and, just wanted to pick on certain defenders and, just attack them. And we adjusted. It was some mishaps and they got their run going, but, we took the punch and reduced some of our own. And I really enjoyed how we all was, together collectively down the stretch, really handling that the right way, especially with the environment, the fans, the concept them dudes was throwing at us. It was real basketball tonight, so it was good for the young guys to be a part of that.
What has Chauncey done to kind of keep you guys bought in, together during, some of the earlier?
We already did all of that in training camp. We've been bought in. It's just catching up to us now. When you work in the off-season, stuff you work in the off-season start to show, that's what you guys are seeing.
And then your thoughts on your personal performance and the clutch free throws down the stretch?
I tell you, I've been here, man. I've been trying to play like this. And so this is normal for me. I'm really pissed, to be honest. It's pissed that you guys think I have to talk about my performance.
Bro, what? What? Huh? Huh?
All right, so he feels slighted that.
What? I really tried to say nice things about you tonight, DA. I really did. I mean, you had a good game, man, but really? I'm kind of speechless, Eric.
I want to hear where he's going with this.
Yeah, I'll start like 10 seconds before I paused it. But he
He's
just said
pissed?
he's pissed that you guys think I have to talk about my performance.
Dude, he just, in the post-game press conference with Brooke, he was like, oh, the fans have my back. This is so awesome. Like, now he's pissed that everyone doubted him or thinks that he doesn't always play this way? What?
That question wasn't even like laden with any doubt at all.
No.
That question was like, how'd you think you played tonight? I do this.
Me or you?
I'm
Me or the
pissed
team?
that you are asking me about this. Freaking weird. All right, let's. I'll listen to this all the way through before I pause it again. All right, let's go.
I'm really pissed, to be honest. I mean, it's pissed that you guys think I have to talk about my performance.
I'll ask you a question about the team then. What does winning a close game like that in overtime do for the team's confidence going forward?
Really, the way how we could just control ourselves, we wasn't too amped up, too speedy. You know, we were talking. It was an emotional game. I seen guys communicate to each other, DC, everybody just talking, and you know it helps so much. And our coaches letting us, you know, they guiding us with the terminology, but they letting us have at it. You know, whether it's holding each other accountable or really just hyping each other up, and that's where we were at. And you know, talking defenses out and saying who we want to attack, what we want to do, how we're going to box it and close out these possessions.
DeAndre, a lot of times people talk about being clutch in terms of scoring. You had a number of clutch rebounds tonight, though. Like, can you talk about the importance of like being stout, particularly late in the game, in order to secure those possessions? Because those possessions were the difference between you guys winning this one and losing.
Most definitely. I think they went pretty small, man. They had a small lineup out there, and we knew what they wanted to attack, and we have an attack of our own, and that's really cleaning up the glass. You know, when we're in scrum action, when my guards are doing their isolating and doing what they got to do, and I'm in the dunker, I only got one job: is keep that ball active for daggers, and that's really what I was trying to exhaust. Really, just try to be a part of the game, and you know, not just sit in the dunker. You know what I'm saying? Just move everybody around, get my hand on some type of loose ball, and you know, luckily I was just in position for some of them down the stretch, and you know, it just led to free throws.
The last answer was good. I mean, that's the attitude he needs to have. I'm just baffled as to the being pissed off that people were asking him to talk about how he played.
That was it.
Yeah, that was it. I like the last answer was legit, man. It's better that he has that attitude. But bro, I've never heard a player say I'm pissed off because you guys are basically asking me about how I'm playing. It's just weird. Maybe it just came out wrong. I mean, he said he was pissed like 3 times. What is there to be pissed about?
He seemed pissed too.
Yeah, like what else is he? That's the thing with DA. He's always pissed at something, it seems like. I mean, if he's pissed off at the fan base for saying he doesn't play like that, he only has himself to blame. If he's listening to the noise, the noise is a direct reflection of the crap he did earlier in the year. If he's listening to the Channing Frye tweet, it's not like Channing Frye is just watching games like, I want to hate DeAndre Ayton for fun. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. Former players don't do that. The criticism was there for a reason, right? Chauncey benched him because he didn't like his spirit. He had issues earlier this season. But he's sitting here saying, like, we've been doing this all season. It's just catching up to us now. Blah, blah, blah. No, you have not. You particularly have not. But that's the problem. He acts like he has, and he's pissed off that anybody would doubt that he doesn't have a 20-point game every night with 20 boards. Like, this is clearly the best game of your season with how you clutched up. You got shot 8 free throws. Bro, you probably went whole months this season without shooting 8 free throws. You know what I mean? Like, so that's just where I have an issue with Ayton, man. It's just weird. It's just weird, man. The noise, the criticism is literally because of him. He's the reason. It's okay if guys play bad, but play hard. We come in here, if somebody plays bad, we'll say they play bad, but it's okay if you play bad. Everybody's going to have bad games. If you play bad, but play hard and try and make the right play and just have a bad game, all right, fine, you had a bad game, but you tried. You tried. The lack of effort earlier this season was inexcusable. The effort has been clearly better the past 4 games. Clearly better the past 4 games. And look, it's the best 4-game stretch of his season. When he plays hard and his last answer, when he tries to do that, tries to be active on the glass, not just sit in the dunker spot and then if he doesn't get the ball, just like kind of sit there and do nothing, which he did almost all season. When he's actually active, he makes more good things happen. He has better games. He gets to the free throw line more. He gets more boards. You know what I mean? So don't give me that. You can't be pissed off at the noise, at the heat you've been getting, because it's a direct reflection of how you have lollygagged earlier this season, given some horrible effort. And it's not just me saying that. Chauncey benched him because he didn't like his spirit a couple of times. Channing Frye, like, media members that normally would just support anything Blazers-wise have called it out. Like, everybody has called it out. So if you want to feel some type of way about that, sure, but like have some accountability. You caused that. All right? Maybe you need the noise. Maybe you need the people criticizing you to light a fire under your ass. Maybe you should thank them. I don't know. But as a professional athlete, that comes with the territory if you are giving poor effort while you're making a max contract, especially when you've made quotes before that you have nothing left to prove. You're already a max contract player, and you made it to your second contract. That was your goal. Quotes like that, those aren't good quotes. Those aren't good quotes. You're going to get criticized for quotes like that. Of course. Because you're basically just saying you just care about the money. Fans don't want to hear that. You should know that. So he caused all the heat, and I've given him a lot of heat for the stuff that he's done. Listen, he has a good game. I'll talk about how he had a good game. I've said he's had a good game multiple times tonight, but his attitude, which is reflected in that press conference, is also why I will never assume that it's going to be consistent, because it's always up and down and up and down and up and down. So I don't know who asked him that question that he then said he was pissed off at. Do you know who that was, chat, that asked that question? You know me, like...
Sorry, Fentress.
I don't know.
Oh, that was the
first.
person.
It was
Fentress says, like, what are you pissed off about or something in the middle
Why
of
do
it.
you yell when you dunk? But like,
He says I'm pissed off. It sounds like Fentress saying that, but it sounded like Holdall the first question.
yeah, like, why are you treating your media like crap, man, as a player? It's just weird. I wonder if Aiden has watched this channel. I wonder too. He probably hates me. I hope he hates me. Like, play harder. You're making $35 million to play a basketball game. So play. Anyway. Yeah, it just kind of, that answer kind of pisses me off. It's just kind of like treating your media like crap for no reason. Because you're just asked to talk about how you played. It's just weird. So, anyway. No, you do not play like this every game, DA. Good job. You had yourself a good game. You don't have a good game every night. Shout out to Horror Director, $10 donation, says, I followed the both of you for 8 years. I'll say this, every single player that plays here doesn't feel like they want to be here. Never had a single doubt when Dame was here. I mean, Dame wanted to be here, but like, I don't think that's fair to a lot of guys on this roster. I think Denny's happy being here now. He's found a home. Tamani's fine with it. Like, no players on this roster say to me like they have a problem being in Portland. I don't even think DA necessarily has a problem being in Portland. I just think this is who he is no matter where he's at. Grant likes being in Portland. We know that. You know what I mean? So, the young guys, it's like, I don't think they've shown anything to say that they don't want to be here. I appreciate your donation. I don't necessarily view things that way.
I think that's also part of the problem. I think there are guys that don't care either way if they're here or not.
Yeah, but I mean,
that doesn't mean, that
it's
doesn't
because
mean
you're
they're
bad.
unhappy.
It's because you're bad and you don't have a culture. So, like, if guys are like, don't really care, I mean, of course, they're rebuilding and they don't have a winning culture and this and that. Like, and it's not like the fans are showing up to games or anything. You know what I mean? Like it's been ramped down 3 notches since Dame was here, right? When Dame was here, he's winning playoff series. The fans loved him, and he's in game winners. The Moda Center was rocking, packed house every game, right? And they're winning basketball. That'll change a lot. This young core will get there and see the way that this city will embrace a team that plays hard, has an identity, has direction, and wins games. They will see the way this city embraces that type of team. And I believe that guys like Scoop will want to be here. Guys like Sharp will want to be here. So we just have to build to that point, because I don't think anybody's like dying to play in Washington or anybody's dying to play in Toronto right now. But Toronto's been playing some good games, building some magic, and those players are having fun there right now. Same thing in Portland. So you got to build something in order to want to be a part of it, if that makes sense.
Board director keeps on donating to like clarify his thing, and it.
That's fine. I will keep.
No, I
it.
know.
Yeah, we appreciate it. You know, we appreciate it.
There's another one.
Yeah, shout out to Horror Director, $20 donation. Appreciate you, Horror Director. Says, what I mean by that, I mean, Luka getting traded to LA feels like no one matters. I think there's this thought now, and it messes up the culture of Portland basketball. If you can be in Los Angeles, why would you care? Luka is such an outlier, crazy, ridiculous situation that I don't think it applies to anyone. I don't think it means anything to anyone, because it literally was the dumbest trade I've ever seen in sports, with the dumbest justification for it. Like, they turned on him, but there's so much fishiness and crap behind that I don't think you could sit here and say, oh, because that happened, that means that Portland doesn't matter or care about their players or this or that. You know what I mean? It's like, we could have shipped Dame off before we did. Neil wanted to keep Dame. Paul wanted to keep Dame, right? Like, the Dame stuff happened the way it did, but like we rode with them. We rode with them, man. So I just don't see things the same way. Like, the Luka trade is an outlier, fully. I don't really understand chat tonight. Chat, there's just some wild stuff tonight. But we love it. We love it. It's a big stream. It's a big stream, man. It's a big stream. So also my live chat like crashed, so I'm trying to fix it. What were you gonna say?
And even if you know Nico Harrison because he worked for Nike for a long time and was in this area, it doesn't mean that trade was good or you know it's going to work out because you know him.
If you know him, you're probably biased. If you know him, you're probably biased. That's why it's like always people like, oh, I know this guy. Like, people be too hard. Blah, blah. Okay, you know him. Like, if you're cool with him, you're probably going to try and see things from his point of view and take his side no matter what.
Oh, dang. Is there something I don't know, Tori? The chat summary says that people are discussing the trade between Damian Lillard and Kyrie Irving.
Whoa.
That's breaking news.
You said
what if our AI broke a trade like that?
Yeah. So the guy says, I didn't say I know it will work. I said I like the short-term trade. I mean, short-term, though, where has Kyrie ever led a team? Where has AD ever led a team? How are you getting... The thing is, they were like a top 3 defense after the deadline with Luka last year. They were already like an elite defense with Luka over that stretch run. How is getting AD and like maybe making PJ Washington guard small forwards really going to take your defense from like is your defense going to be that much better? Obviously AD is much better than Luka, but now you have a logjam in the front court and now you have to play bigger, so you're going to be slower. And you lose a lot offensively. AD and Kyrie have never led teams anywhere. Ever. Kyrie's probably pissed off about this. Kyrie might leave this offseason. I think that's a legitimate possibility. Okay? Short term, I don't think this does anything. Luka has already proven he can lead a team to the finals.
Last year. So how are they better at winning than last year when they made the finals?
The only way it's better short term is if they win a championship this year. I don't think they're winning a championship this year.
If they do, Nico can tell everyone to kiss his ass, right?
Yeah. And the guy says, and that's why we all have opinions. I think the trade is good short term, Kyrie and AD. I mean, my question will just always go back to, where has either of those guys ever led a team? What's the furthest either one of those guys has led a team before? And they lost, you adjust, you don't stand pat. Yeah, you adjust around the guy that led you almost to a championship.
Yeah. You make a move to bolster your team around that dude, not give him up for a worse player.
Yeah. You brought in Clay, you brought in Najee Marshall, was a really underrated signing. I thought when healthy, they might have been better in the playoffs this year. I think they had a chance to win it all, man. Boston was freaking phenomenal last year.
Yeah, I mean, OKC is going to be tough for anyone to beat, but
they beat them last year.
I know, but outside of that, I mean, you know, they had Hartenstein and Caruso, so that's going to help them. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I feel bad for Mavs fans, but I'm also just rooting for that to blow up in his face because that is such a dumb trade.
My God.
He doesn't. Nico Harrison does not deserve any success from that.
This pisses me off, Tori. DeAndre Ayton's pissed. Now I'm pissed. Okay. God, I can't.
What?
Rabbit Thinker says, not if you know he can't win it. If that was their ceiling with Luka, yes, you make the change. What are you talking about? How do you know that's his ceiling? He's 25 years old. Michael Jordan didn't even win an effing title until he was older. How do you know that's his effing ceiling? You just make stuff up to make a trade that is completely unjustifiable justified. There is no excuse. You do not know what his ceiling is. That is ludicrous to even say that, oh, I just put this random value on his ceiling that he can't reach, and I just determined that was the case. He went to the finals last year, and it was obvious by making the finals that he can never be better than that. So we're just going to trade him and do something else. That's the most insane thing I've ever heard. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. You know, Michael Jordan at that age, had he won a finals? No. Does that mean you trade him for a worse player? No. LeBron at that age hadn't won a championship before. That doesn't mean you go and trade him for freaking, I don't know, Chris Paul. I'm trying to think of like an older star at that time. You know, you don't go trade him for Manu Ginobili. I don't freaking, you don't go trade LeBron because he hasn't won a finals by 25 years old. So yeah, that's ridiculous. If he's leading a team to a finals at 25 years old, how many of those finals games were close? Like, winning a championship is on a razor's edge. Stop looking at things so black and white. That's wild. That's wild, man. So, yeah, you're entitled to your take, but it's a wild, ridiculous take. Rabbit Thinker says, so you know more than Nico, who's around him daily. Gotcha. Nico knows his habits, but you guys know. Gotcha. Every other exec is saying it's terrible. What? You know more than every NBA exec? Like, that's the thing. I hate when people say that. So you should never, ever criticize anything any sports team ever does because they're an exec, so therefore they automatically know more, is your argument. Like, that's BS, bro. Come on, man. You gotta do better than that. You gotta do better than that. If you're gonna come in here and argue with us, you gotta do better than that.
It'd also be one thing if, he didn't just... It invalidates any argument when you say, oh, I'm worried about his conditioning or whatever moving forward. Like, the dude's brought it in the playoffs. He was hurt last year, still put up incredible numbers. This guy's career averages almost 31 points, 8 assists, and 9.4 rebounds. Like, in the playoffs. If freaking conditioning is a problem, the dude would fall off in the playoffs. Like, you don't play an 82-game season and then go on a deep run in the playoffs and have conditioning issues. Like, come on. Like, even if he did, that obviously he's a gamer and can play through it. So, like, it's making up stuff. Like, Nico just did not like Luka, wanted out for some weird reason, and it was like a personal thing with him, and he made a bad move. It's okay to admit that. You're muted.
Oh. Listen, chat is saying, you guys are being trolled. All right, if we are being trolled, I hope you're entertained then. Hopefully you're entertained then. That's the goal anyway.
If Nico knows information that we don't, he doesn't know anything.
He took back less than he could have gotten. Like, there is just no way. Anyway, oh God. All right, like...
Now you're just being annoying, bro.
Yeah, now you're just trolling. Like, basically, so I'm just going to read this off just because this is what people do to excuse front offices because it's impossible to argue it. The comment says, you realize how much information that the public doesn't know about teams just because you don't know doesn't mean you're right. So basically it's just like, you don't know more than the exec of that team and there's stuff behind the scenes that you don't know. And basically you can apply that to any move an exec ever makes to excuse the move that executive makes. So basically, if you apply that logic everywhere, you can never criticize a team for doing anything ever. It's
and we can watch the freaking games, Tori. We
Yeah.
watch the
Yeah, we'll
games.
see.
We see Luka on the court dominating, being one of the top 5 players in the NBA, and have playoff success. So you cannot say that he's not one of the top players in the NBA, right? He is easily one of the, like, at worst top 10, right? Yeah. Like, there's zero argument against that, right?
Yeah.
Can you say he's a playoff failure or he doesn't show up in the playoffs? They just made the freaking finals. No, you cannot. Like, you can't even say that. So what? Anything you say is making stuff up. Nico Harrison is seeing ghosts that aren't there. He's like a quarterback that's been sacked a bunch of times and then gets worried in the pocket for no reason, even though there's not a rush coming. You can literally watch him play and see that he is not those things. I don't care. Like, this donation perfectly says, horror director with another $10 donation. I'd take Luke at 400 pounds any day of the week. He still gets it done. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, when the whole league is flabbergasted and thinks it's ridiculously dumb, I'll trust the whole league. If you want to trust execs, I'll trust every other team's exec. Because that's how this trade was received. All right? So, yeah, you can go and just lick boots and kiss ass of every exec.
It's not fans' point of views, dude. We've already said it's executives.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I don't like bootlickers, man. in regards to sports that just kiss every organization's ass because who knows? You probably don't know things, so how could you say anything? Like, all right, fine. Why are you in here talking about sports if you don't know anything, if you can't possibly know anything? Like, why are you even in this conversation then if you can't possibly know everything? Basically, you're just in here to say nobody could say anything because he's the exec. All right, bro. Go somewhere else with that boring ass crap, man. Like, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. So, anyway, it's ridiculous. This will backfire. You will see. You won't be back. You made an account a week ago, so you're probably just here to troll. And yeah, if anybody comes in with these BS takes and their account is like less than a month old, we just need to start kicking them. Because I feel like it's just the same freaking people that come in here on new accounts trying to say BS because they like our reaction. It's most likely what it is.
Okay.
Most likely what it is. So I don't even want to keep having this channel.
No.
Or not this channel, this conversation. Yeah, I want to delete the channel because of this conversation. There's
you don't want to have the channel.
Yeah. The guy earlier that says, "Were you two GMs?" Then he made his account today.
Yeah.
Like, goodbye.
Nice.
Goodbye. You made your account today. Goodbye.
What's funny is, okay, someone comes in here and says, we couldn't possibly know anything because we're not the GM. And then we combat that with, we watch the games. We see him play. So any argument can't. And then the executive said all the fans are panning this. All the players are panning this. All right. And then he's like, well, you're not letting me have an opinion. You weren't saying an opinion. You were saying no one else can think bad about Nico Harrison because you know him and he made a good move. Like, that's not and don't play though. You don't let people have an opinion card because your opinion wasn't that. Oh, Dallas could still be all right. Like, that would be fine. We let you have that opinion. But you were literally telling us that Nico did this for a reason, and your opinion is
that nobody else can have an opinion.
Yeah.
So don't tell us to let you have an opinion when your opinion is nobody else can have an opinion. It's just silly. It's just silly. So anyway, shout out to Butthead Blazer Stan. $2 donation says, worried about injury Luka in trade for Mr. Glass. I mean, AD is 6 years older and not as good. It's literally that simple. Luka's your franchise. Their fans are gonna check out. Like, just wait. So, yeah.
You know that's Beavis, right?
Is it?
Yeah.
Just because it's Butthead?
No, he confirmed it earlier.
Oh, what's up, Beavis? How you doing, Beavis? Yeah. That's not true, though. You just made that up. Just to end this conversation. Bro, you're basically just saying, what do you know? You're not the exec. There's so much you don't know. That's why you should just basically listen to the exec. If your argument is basically this person is in a position of power for a reason, so you can't criticize them, I will never respect your argument because it just says to me you can't think for yourself. Horror Director says, Tori, the graphics have been on point, just to say, yeah, we've been light. A little light the past couple of nights, but I wish I still had a graphics guy. Still doing my best, man. I'd be making these graphics in the middle of streams sometimes. It's full-time. It's a lot of work. Multitasking. Full-time multitasker. Anyway, this stream has been a lot of fun. We got a Brant rant. We've won 8 out of 9. And we got a Brant rant. And we got some Ayton quotes.
I was ready to do some a Brant breakdown tonight, too.
I got a freaking Ayton stand in my Twitter mentions.
Oh, nice. Someone watching the stream and then talking to you, or off the tweet you made before.
This dude's name is Ayton for Prez, and he's like, still dogging him after a 25-20 game? That's just pure hate at this point, dude. Do better. Bro, it was because I criticized his last defensive possession of regulation, which was awful. And anybody who's not being biased should be able to realize, yeah, that was an awful play by Ayton. You can sit here and say, yeah, that was a bad play, but he had a great game, though. I'd be like, yeah, okay, he had a good game, though. Good game, though. That was a bad play, though. Like, could be both, but no, man. You got the player clicks where you say anything bad about that player in a game where they played well. It is blasphemy. How can you say something bad about him when he scored 25 points? That means he had a perfect game. This is just sports talk. This is the sports talk that I love to make fun of because it's all ridiculous. And this is, it's enjoyable in a way. It also drives me crazy. But maybe I like going crazy.
Trevin sent us this tweet. He said he just opened Twitter, and this is the first thing he saw. It's this person saying, one thing I've realized over the last few days, the Luka trade is so bad, it basically requires you to create entire alternate realities to even try to justify it. So many dumb things happen in the NBA all the time, but we don't even have the hardware to handle this one.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. That's funny. We need to do Tankathon, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Tankathon?
And we need to talk about the groundbreaking trade from this evening.
Oh, yeah. You want to talk about that now while I set it up?
Yeah, let me make sure I get the details of it right, because it's a very...
detailed trade, huh? Do you guys think Jimmy Butler will get traded by Thursday? I'm not sure. I hope so. I hope he gets traded on Thursday.
It was funny under this because there was people under this trade saying that Mark Stein must have been hacked. There's no way this trade would have happened like the Luka trade.
Yeah. That's funny.
So the Thunder traded Charlotte Phoenix's 2029 second round pick in exchange for Denver's 2030 second round pick. That was the whole trade.
How does that trade even happen? Like, you talk about bigger things, and it's like, we like this pick, and then like, all right, we like your second round pick, and then you come to the realization like, oh, we like each other's second round picks better. Let's just trade the second round picks. Like, how else would you come to terms on a deal like that?
Also, why would you give up any Phoenix picks right now for any other team's picks? Like, that far in advance? Like, it's pretty bad.
Strange.
Maybe a Dallas pick in 2030.
That's the type of thing we'd be like, why the hell did we do that? And people would be like, why are you caring about trading a second round pick for a second round pick? It's just like, I mean, I'd rather have Phoenix's than Denver's probably. But like, also just like, why? Why? What's the point? What are you doing? What are you accomplishing? It's just so pointless. It's like Sam Presti was bored. He wanted to feel involved. He misses trading for draft picks, so he decided to do something on a Monday night. I don't know.
He didn't like add draft. Like, I was telling you before we went on the air, if he traded like a pick in this draft because he had 4 seconds or something, like for a future draft pick, I get it. But like, why? What's a 2029 for a 2030? Like, does anyone have any insight? Was there cash involved or something? Like, I don't know. How does that conversation even start? Like, they talk about another player and it's like, let's just swap picks. Let's do something for the sake of doing something.
That's what would happen if me and you were GMs. We would troll.
Yeah.
We would troll. But
we just trade like rights to like some random player for each other. Though.
Just to be in the headlines.
Yeah.
Just to
get a shams bomb.
Yeah. That's so funny. Comment from Fun Piece says, Tori, you did admit you didn't like Ayton today. LOL, it's fine. He's changed my mind watching him. You'll come around if he keeps dominating, I'd hope. When has he ever kept dominating? For more than like 20, 25 games. Go all the way back to Phoenix. When has he ever consistently dominated? He doesn't. He's been in the league how many years, and this is always how it goes, man. Like, we have a large sample knowing that DeAndre Ayton will have a good spurt where he's playing hard and engaged and energized, and then he will eventually crash. He had a good spurt to end last year. What was he at the beginning of this season? Bad, and his energy was awful. His coach, Channing Frye, said as much. But now, he's having a good stretch again. It's like, okay, why would you just all of a sudden assume, like, yeah, the last 4 games, he'll keep dominating. I'm a believer now. It's just, you're the roller coaster. You're riding the roller coaster, and every time you get to the top, it's like you think you're stuck, but the dip's coming. And then it will have another good stretch. Just what happens with DA. I just don't really understand why people don't realize that.
No, man, he always plays this way. He told us.
He always has 8 free throw attempts in a game and 25 and 20 boards.
He was just waiting for everyone else to catch up. Now they're here.
Yeah, it's the same thing when, like, Cam Reddish gets here and has a big game and people are like, see? Nick Stauskas' first game. See, that's why the Blazers brought him in. That's why he was a top 10 pick by the Kings back in the day. He's going to break out this year for us. He has a solid game number 2. See, Tor, you were wrong for thinking it doesn't matter that much.
Oh.
Same thing with Mario, man. Like, he had a good preseason game and people were saying that. Like, it's just, why are we always so prisoner of the moment with guys that have proven what they are already? I just don't get it.
Colt says, how many wins do we need to get before y'all stop doing tankathon?
Until we're out of the lottery.
That's what I was going to say, yeah. As long as we're in the lottery, I think we're doing tankathon this year.
Yeah. So if we're in the playoffs, we will stop. Honestly, maybe I'd just do tankathon just to see who wins it each time, just because it's a tradition. It's just a tradition. All right, let's do tankathon. The Blazers are now tied for 8th best odds with the Bulls. They are 1 game out of 7th. Hopefully the Sixers can start winning some games. Toronto keeps winning. Look at Toronto, 8-2 in their last 10. Look at Portland, 8-2 in their last 10. So Toronto messing up their odds. Like, they're not catching Charlotte at this point. They're 7.5 behind them. I don't even know if they have 9 more wins than Charlotte. I don't think Charlotte's going to win 9 more games over the rest of the year. I think they're not catching Brooklyn. Although Brooklyn's won 2 in a row, but I don't think they're catching Brooklyn. I think best case scenario is they're 6th best and they catch Toronto. I think in terms of, like, lottery odds. Con Knipple is a Portland Trailblazer. You might as well get your Knipple jersey. Ain't that right, Eric?
Sure.
That's going to be the guy that you don't like that much, and then we draft him.
Yeah.
So you better start liking him before you get called a Knipple hater. Or maybe we'll get lucky, because we've been getting lucky lately despite these odds. So let's simulate it. Let's scroll from the bottom and see if we get lucky again.
But I like Knipples, so I'll come around.
You like what?
Knipples.
The puns, man. We like sharp knipples. All right. At 14. It's past midnight. This is what you get, chat.
You guys don't?
I mean, to each his own. All right. At 14 is Golden State. At 13 is Atlanta. At 12 is Houston via Phoenix. At 11 is San Antonio via Atlanta. At 10 is San Antonio. At 9 is Chicago. Which means Portland moves up moves up into the top 4 again. Karma.
Ethical
tanking.
By not tanking.
This keeps happening, man. I don't know. Like, I would love to win like 37 games and move into the top 4.
We went 34.
Yeah, so you don't lose your bet with Gray.
Yeah.
All right, at 8 is OKC via Philadelphia. At 7 is Brooklyn. At 6 is Utah, moving down 4 spots. So that means you got Toronto up there, you got New Orleans up there, and you got Charlotte up there with Portland. At 5 is Washington. We already know. So can Portland get the number 1 pick? Because we never get it, but luckily we've been getting top 3 lately, all right? So let's see about it. At 4 is Charlotte. Portland's top 3. At 3 is New Orleans. We got back-to-back Tankathon Sims with the top 2 pick, Eric. Can we finally get the number 1 pick? Can we finally capture the flag?
No.
At 2 is Toronto.
Yes!
Yay, we captured the flag. Ethical tanking for the win. Let's go. We are set. We have our dynasty. All right, baby, let's go. We finally won a Tankathon Sim right before the trade deadline. Don't change a thing. Beautiful scenes. Beautiful scenes, chat. We captured the flag. We love it. We love it. That's a great way to end the night.
We can't get the 5th pick, Corey Director. Yes, that was good. Parker says my boss told me I did a great job at work today. It pissed me off. Who does he think he is talking
What
about?
is he talking about my performance at work? That's funny. That's real funny. Man. Look who has the top 2 picks, Eric. The top 2 ethical tankers right now.
Yes. And it's perfect. We get flagged. They get Harper. Yeah.
And then New Orleans takes Edgecombe. I don't know why Edgecombe to New Orleans just feels like a thing.
Well, they already have their star, so yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah. And then Charlotte takes Ace Bailey, and then Washington takes Yakuchonis.
Talking about Trey Murphy, by the way.
Yeah, Trey Murphy's been phenomenal. He had 41 tonight. He's been breaking out. Anyway, this has been a fun stream. We're going to be live tomorrow after the game. We'll talk more trades. We were live earlier today, talk some trades, rumors and stuff. Like, we'll see what happens tomorrow. We're going to have more rumors by tomorrow night for sure, so we'll talk about them. If something big happens with the Blazers, we'll go live right away. If something big happens across the NBA, we might go live. And then Wednesday night, we'll have a live stream despite it not being a game night. So we'll have a trade deadline preview Wednesday night. That'll go live maybe 8 p.m. is what I'm thinking. Earlier if we have some good rumors. And then Thursday morning we'll have our trade deadline live stream, so hopefully you can make it for that. We'll be going live at approximately 8 a.m. Pacific time on Thursday. Yeah. And basically we'll have Cham's Twitter feed, and then we'll have another Twitter feed with like a bunch of different guys that would tweet rumors and stuff, so you don't have to go on Twitter and refresh things. And if you're busy, if you're working, if you want to go work out, if you're, at school, I don't know, but your teacher allows you to put in headphones during class or something. I don't know. Maybe it's college. Maybe you're trying to do homework. Whatever you're trying to do, we got you covered. You can just put on our stream and listen to us react to everything that happens. You'll know instantly whenever anything happens because you'll hear us react, and you could go do other things, put our stream on the background, and enjoy.
Put in earbuds and put on a beanie. They can't see.
Yeah. Yep. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun. And hopefully you can make it, because that's always a fun time. Chat's always fun to hang out in and watch everything go down. So it's one of my favorite streams of the year. Is it your favorite stream of the year? Or is it free agency? Or is it the draft?
I'm
going to ask chat that as well.
Man, it's close between trade deadline and free agency, but
Free agency is always fun because it's like a 9-hour thing and you know stuff's going to happen.
yeah, and there's trades and
free agent signings.
Sometimes, so. But it also doesn't have like a final ending point, which makes the trade deadline cool because you know at some point like it has to end.
Yeah.
But I'm also kind of bummed at the end of trade deadline because that means there can't be any like transactions like that for a few months. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, but like this is the time of year I like leading up to trade deadline because then we have the draft stream in like 4 months, free agency stream in 4 months. Those are always fun. For agency.
Wow.
What's up?
Wow, bouquets. I hate the draft stream. Thanks a lot.
Well, the stream is good. I just hate the anxiety of the draft. The anxiety of the draft is fun. The anticipation is fun.
Yeah.
These 3 streams are always huge, and they always have like a different feel to them. And we stream for all of them, and it's always a ton of fun. So you don't want to miss out. The deadline is all annoying because the Blazers always disappoint.
That's
true. The chaos across the league is fun, though, and we will always call it out when they disappoint. So.
Wow, Aeromancer hates the free agency stream.
Why do you hate the free agency stream, bro? What's nice about the draft is it's consistently happening. Yeah, the spoilers are a little annoying, though, and it's a little stressful because it's so fast-paced and I'm, like, doing stuff for graphics the entire time.
Every year or two, it gets to a point where we have no idea what team is drafting in the second round because of all the trades.
Yeah. The thing is, after the trade deadline, we'll get more towards... we'll have more event nights, and we'll get more towards, like, sometimes just going completely off topic, which is fun, and having fun, and maybe we won't have a lame end to the season where we're just tanking, you know what I mean? It's kind of weird to, like, this time of year be having big streams, fun streams, talking about wins. Like, it's just, we're not used to it, so still not in playoff position, but, I mean, let me just look at the standings here. The Blazers are still 4.5 back of 10th. They're 4.5 back of 11th, which is Phoenix now. They're not even in playing spot right now after their back-to-back losses to us. So that was a team. If you want to make the play-in, that was good to beat. We're only a game and a half behind San Antonio, which is strange. Kind of funny.
Yeah. But now they have Fox.
Now they have De'Aaron. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, guys. So, anything else, Eric?
No, thanks everyone for watching. Hope to see you again on the postgame show tomorrow night and in our streams on Wednesday and Thursday. Fun few days. Hopefully, please, just one trade, Cronin. Come on. Give us something to talk about.
Give us something. And make it more than just like a top 55 protected second round pick for another Delano Banton.
Yeah.
Well, they would have to trade a player.
Yeah.
So.
We're going to be the ones trading someone for a protected second round pick.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, it's time to go because I'm yawning. Anyway, shout out BetUS. Check them out if you want to get on trade deadline odds or spread lines. They got you covered. And we'll be live streaming tomorrow night, the next night, Thursday morning, Thursday night. There's a game, so we got you covered with the content. Subscribe if you're new. Click on the bell icon to be notified whenever any streams or videos go live, and leave a like on this live stream on your way out of here. It's the easiest way to support us. And shout out to everyone who donated tonight. We greatly appreciate your support as well. We are out of here. We will see you tomorrow night. Well, actually, it's later today because it's past midnight, so the content never stops. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.